We want to welcome everybody today to a very special time with everything going on around us right now. We felt this was so profound to share a word with you today. And I am honored to be here with my dear friend, partner in all things Genshai, and actually the person that introduced Genshai to me, that transformed and changed my life. And I want to introduce Kevin Hall. What a profound 10, 11 years that we've had so far with this amazing word. And I want to turn it over to Kevin to explain this word that in 2.5 hours changed the way my perception was for the last 11 years. And this is just a sacred video for me, which means more than the world to me. So, my dear friend Kevin, please
thank you, Lance.
This amazing word.
Boy, to be here with you. I mean, Lance, you personify what Genshai means. And we're here in nature. We can hear birds.
It's amazing.
Flying and talking to us. Genshai connects you with your nature. We're all part of nature. When you nurture nature, man, it's amazing what happens. Imagine a word coming from the sacred writ in India. Beautiful people in the East where they have a caste system. And this word, Genshai, it means you would never treat another person in a manner that would make them feel small. And I saw Lance just kind of taking a big, deep breath. And when you hear that, taking that breath, including yourself, like what does that mean when we say, Genshai means you would never treat another person in a manner that would make them feel small, but then bold, underline, highlight, including yourself.
Well, you did that for me when we sat in your office that day at the top of the mountain, giving me new perspective. All I heard that day was including yourself, because I felt that was literally the smallest I was treating myself at that point. And when I left, that was it. I was going to treat myself how I would treat others in my life. And it was so profound, including yourself. That's the most important part. And you teach that. You coach that with filling people with your overflow, not just part of you or the lack of the energy that you have. Don't just still give people your leftovers.
What is it?
That was the key. That was the trigger that ignited me.
That's what's inside of this word, because we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we see ourselves, and the way we treat ourselves, it reflects in the way that we treat others. And I think of a dear friend and mentor, one of the best, one of the greats, Stephen R. Covey, author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He would often say to me, "Are you taking care of the goose?" And he wrote in 7 Habits, "Don't kill the goose that lays the golden eggs." And so Genshai says, you're not going to treat somebody small. And you're going to create barriers and not let somebody treat you small. But above all, like you just said, Lance, you're not going to treat yourself small. And it isn't selfish to have good nutrition. It isn't selfish to have good sleep. It isn't selfish to take care of your health and your well-being so you can take care of others. You can't give what you don't have. And the way you treat yourself, this is the key inside of Genshai. The way you treat yourself reflects in the way you treat others.
So true.
So that's a word. That's a word for the day. It's a word for the week. It's a word for the month. It's a word for the year. It's a word for your lifetime to practice Genshai and be a Genshai warrior, which you are.
Absolutely. And you taught me the power of words that day. So I went really deep with Genshai, as you know, over the last 10 or 11 years. Took it to heart, and it's been a passion of mine because of you seeding that. And I actually went in and did the etymology of the word, the GEN Genesis, genetics, means the beginning or birth.
Beginning.
And Shai in sacred writ means the gift. I don't think, having those two things together and asking the question, the beginning or birth of the gift, what's the gift?
Yeah, it's
What
you.
is the gift?
It's me. We're
Absolutely.
we're the gift. And the man that taught me this word, Pravin Cherkoori, on a trip to Vienna, one of the first things he ever said after he introduced me to that word is that, Kevin, you're an unrepeatable miracle. There are 7 billion people. If you're watching this, you're one of 7 billion unrepeatable miracles on the planet right now. Not one of us laughs the same way, has the same fingerprints, the same thoughts, the same gifts. And Genshai says you can be free to be who you're meant to be, the very best version of who you're meant to be.
So profound. How has, because you put it in your book, Aspire, Kevin. It's the sacred secret word in there. Maybe tell us a little bit about that, how that came to be the word in your amazing writ.
Yeah, well, that word, every word, words are like passwords. You put the password in, they open up a window, a door to opportunities, and that's what happens. And this single word, I remember as Stephen wrote the foreword for a book about words, Aspire, Discovering Your Purpose Through the Power of Words, he said this is the most Stephen R. Covey, this is the most transformational word that I've ever studied. And he would study, he could read or scan a book a day. He had like a photographic memory. And he studied cultures and religions all over the world. And he said, this one single word may be the most transformative word of all time. And I can tell you how I heard about it. Should we talk about
Absolutely.
where that started? In Vienna, nearly 15 years ago, in Vienna, having spent time with Viktor Frankl's widow, with members of his family, I walk in to a little fabric store. It looked like a jewelry store. I have a daughter getting married. We have 4 daughters, Summer, Season, Star, Sharwan, all named after Sherry with S's, 2 boys, Kevin, Colby, and Connor. And she's going to get married, and I see that there's a fabric shop. So I go in thinking maybe I can get the fabric for her bridesmaid or her maid of honor. Just something beautiful, a fashion designer daughter. And as I walk in, Pravin Cherkoori, who I did not know at the time, one of the world-renowned artists, one of the premier tantric painting artists where he uses his hands to paint large exhibitions all over the world. He walks in and he finds out that I had spent a little bit of time with members. Victor had passed away then. He said, I knew Viktor Frankl. He would come in here and buy his wife's scarves. And he produced a book. We could probably get it. We could show you that book. We've got it here.
Yep.
And he produced this book of greats, over 50 years old. He said, Kevin, you're one of the greats. Will you sign this book of greats? And I don't know how you feel as you're watching this, but this was a man whose mother lived with Gandhi in Mirabin. She was one of those 5 women that spent time learning at the feet of Mahatma Gandhi. And I said, I'm sorry, but I didn't feel Gandhiist. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. I didn't feel like I was one of those greats. And I said, I'm sorry, Pravin, but I can't sign this book of greats. And then he took me to dinner, a Chinese dinner in the middle of Vienna.
Nice.
I was hungry after this 2-hour dinner as soon as we ate. And he taught me that word. And I remember he said, promise me, Kevin, at the end of that experience, and having told me that as a boy growing up in India, where you see mass poverty, you see opulence and beauty, and you see poverty and need. And he said when he was a boy, as they pass a little section of a downtown area where there would be people that just didn't have anything, homeless, living, sleeping in the streets. And he used to just toss them a coin. And he tossed him a coin once, and his mother grabbed him, kind of grabbed him by the ear and said, "Pravin, that's not Genshai. You just treated that person small. You were on a higher level. You just tossed them a coin." When you practice Genshai, you get on someone's level. Think about that as a father. Think about that with your granddaughter all in.
Yeah.
Instead of standing, talking to her, and you get down, you look her in the eye, and you're on her level, you crawl with her, you play with her. There's nothing like it. And from that time on, whenever he met someone in great need, he would get on his knees, look them in the eye, call them by name, and he said when he reached into his pocket, that coin, it became love. It was no longer a coin that he could just toss. It was, "You're my brother. We're walking this path together. I see you, I recognize you, and I honor you." And I'll never forget, Lance, what I felt as he described that in Vienna on a cold winter night when you could see the steam coming off of your breath as we walked from that restaurant back. And that word changed my life. And one of the reasons Aspire is in many different languages all over the world. Hundreds of thousands of people have read that book, not quite 1 million yet. But it's because of that word. They hear that word. In fact, if you look on a Kindle, if you're reading a book on a Kindle, you can see what's the most highlighted section of the book. And Genshai, without question, it's almost 10-1. It is the most highlighted section of Aspire. And there's some other beautiful words in that book. So that word, like as I introduced that to you 10, 11 years ago, it's changed my life and the life of a lot of people all around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And immediately when I left your house, I called my mom, who is my greatest mentor. And I said, "Mom, you have to hear this word. It's Genshai." And I spelled it to her. And I told her the definition, never treat anyone in a manner that will make them feel small, including yourself. She said, "Say that again." So I repeated it. And I said, "Mom, what are the first things that you think about with that word and definition?" And she immediately said, "Love and charity." And
it's the Western version of charity. And it might even be deeper than the Golden Rule. People say, "Oh, this reminds me of the Golden Rule."
Yeah.
Never treat another person in a manner that would make them feel small. Takes it to a whole nother level, including yourself. And this word right now, at a time in civilization, it's as needed now as it's ever been needed. And I'm just so excited. Like you said, partners in all things Genshai, that with Genshai.com, with everything that you've been working on for years, Lance, that people can learn about this word. And it's one thing to learn a word or understand a meaning. It's a totally different thing to live it. If you learn it, you do it.
Yep.
If you didn't learn, to learn and to not do is to not learn. That's what Stephen Covey taught me. So when you learn it, you do it. And then when we teach this to other people, we teach it twice. And one of the most powerful things, here we are just before Thanksgiving. We know how important gratitude is and thanking people. There's someone in your life who's lived Genshai. They don't even know the meaning. My mother, who was a teenage alcoholic, and through counseling and recognizing that she had a dis-ease, a disease, she became a great drug and alcohol abuse counselor. She lived Genshai without ever, just like your mother Judy is your greatest mentor. My mother would grab my chin as a little boy and say, "Kevin, you can realize any dream that you want as long as you leave other people better for having met you." And that's Genshai. You got to treat yourself well so that you can treat others well. And now that we can teach this to people, when you teach something, you learn it twice. There's that old saying, if you give a man or a woman a fish, they'll eat for a day. If you teach them how to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime. But then we've added this piece, you and I. If you teach them how to teach somebody else how to fish, then you'll feed a civilization. And this word, it will span all over the globe.
Agreed.
To millions of people all over
Agreed.
the world.
And one thing that we've learned through this process is it's not selfish to take care of yourself, right? I mean, we talk about this all the time, Kevin. It's, you know, you are an avid cyclist, probably in one of the greatest, you know, healing and health modes of your life, you know, right now, and me as well. And it's changed our perspective on how we align through our health, through our mind, through our spirit, and a lot of it has been seeded and stemmed from this word.
It is. It does start with this word because, again, Pravin Cherkoori, look him up, Cherkoori, Pravin Cherkoori. There are books written about him with his art and the impact that he has had all over the world with these installations. Never treat another person in a manner that would make them feel small, including yourself. He said, you're an unrepeatable miracle. Every person watching this is an unrepeatable miracle. If it's your special day, and every day's your special day. If it was your birthday, and your friend said, let's go, we're going to go to their favorite restaurant. Maybe you got a Thai restaurant. Maybe you're going to Ruth's Chris. Maybe it's fine dining. Whatever it is, favorite Italian restaurant. Favorite Chinese food. And you said, you know what, you just go. I don't need to go on my birthday. Why don't you just order? And when you're done at Ruth's Chris, just take the kind of the little gristle and just slide it off. You got a little bit left of your baked potato. Take the peel and what's left, and just all of you just kind of gather it and put it in a to-go bag. I'll just take the leftovers. Nobody would do that. You wouldn't do that on your special day. Would you do that on your special day? No. But I've done that too many times in my life, and now I don't do it anymore. Because if you wait until the end of the day to meditate, which you do so well every day, if you wait to meditate, to pray, to eat something healthy, to exercise, and I don't miss anymore. If you wait, it's likely never going to happen. So why would you give yourself leftovers when you're the most important person? This isn't narcissistic. This isn't selfish. This is essential. And so inside of Genshai, and you'll see that in our Genshai community, how can you take better care of yourself? Self-care is self-love.
That's right. Yeah, and I love that. You know, we talk a lot about affirmations and that. We'll go into that in another time. But the importance of this word and really reaffirming to yourself how important you are, not only to you when we fill ourselves up, but everybody around us, the influence. Like we talk about law of attraction, which is really the law of love.
It is.
And Genshai, it emulates that, and it's been the most profound word in my life. So I thank you, Kevin, from the bottom of my heart. I love you, brother, and I'm so excited where this is going with Genshai, Genshai.com, and all of the additional thoughts that are ensuing around us because of this. And it is the right time. It is the right time for this. So we want to welcome everybody to come in with us, Genshai.com. And this is just the beginning. And what a more profound time to take care of yourself now so that we can take care of many more. The generations to come, right? Like my granddaughter, all in, which you taught me that word as well. Explain all in really quick. And
All in's on the Aztec calendar. Yeah. It's O-L-L-I-N. It's pronounced almost like it's A-L-L-I-N. Adidas' slogan for the World Cup a few years ago. It means to move and act right now with all your heart. When a great storm or earthquake was about to shake the earth, or started to shake the earth, the Aztecs would scream, get all in, and move and act right now with all your heart. And I like to use 8 words. Act as if it were impossible to fail. When you do, you don't fail. You move from inertia to momentum, from failure to success. You said something, Lance. Can I just highlight one thing you said? We talk about the law of attraction, and have a handful of friends that are in The Secret. and talking about the law of attraction, Genshai is the law of love. That's what this is. And when you look at the word believe, Lieve means love. In Indo-European, in 12 other languages that stem from Indo-European, leave, Lieve means love. Be is self-evident, it means to be. So if I believe in myself, if I believe in you, I be love.
Yeah.
Love is our birthright. Abundance is our birthright. Abundance comes from knowing you're enough, knowing that you're a person of love, that you are loved, and loving yourself. Scarcity comes from fear. It's the opposite, the antithesis of that I'm not enough. If I don't think I'm enough, there will never, ever, ever be enough. And so Genshai, I really think, Lance, and you've taught me this, that it opens up this door to abundance and to wealth of relationships and to wealth in health. Health is the first wealth. Emerson taught us that.
Absolutely.
So this is the ultimate law of love. Believe. When you how many people does it take to believe, Lance?
It's just one.
There's one.
It's just one.
And so maybe you start with that person that believed in you and tell them about Genshai. Teach it to them. Recognize them. Have them sign your own book of greats. Have them sign something because they made a difference in your life. And around Thanksgiving right now, every day should be Thanksgiving. It's my favorite week coming up.
Absolutely.
Because we can really pause and say, well, let me focus and start counting my blessings instead of what we just heard from Russell M. Nelson, recounting my problems. Let's focus on what we want. And Genshai teaches you that love is always the answer. It's always the answer.
Agreed.
Love will always find a way. I seldom write like that. It's like the law of gravity. What goes up will come down. Love always finds a way.
Agreed. And I wanted to close with that all in because we're all in on this.
We are.
And the influence this word will have, the influence of the community, as we've coined, no pun intended, Genshai warriors, for good, for love. Let's go out and share this word. Let's find that one mentor or person that changed your life. Let them know, give them the story, which is the real gift of how they influenced and changed your life. So we want to thank you, Kevin, for the gift of the word and just our dear friendship and brotherhood. So
Thanks, Lance. This day is just, you said you're all in, I'm all in. And what incredible opportunity to make a difference in the world.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
love you,
All right,
brother. Awesome.